Want to figure out or put lots of skills to the test? Let's build a recycle logo. Yeah, it's sort of my style of a recycle logo, but it's going to showcase a lot of different skills. Speaking of, this is what you'll learn: how to use the rotate tool, how to duplicate in action, how to arrange elements, how to use and manage rulers, how to manage fill and stroke colors, how to group elements, intertwine, and use of the Polygon tool. Once done, you'll have a great tutorial or reminder on the piles of elements that are used to create a complex geometric shape. So without further ado, let's get going with this one. All right, let's get started. First things first, let's go ahead and create a new file. Our new file is going to be 1000 pixels wide by 1000 pixels tall and with a single artboard. One more thing worth mentioning is we're going to be building this in the RGB color mode. Why? Because we're building it for screen. Let's go ahead and click create. Right, before we get started, we're building this piece using the Essentials Classic workspace. All you need to do to activate or switch to the Essentials Classic workspace is to go to the top right-hand corner of your page and select Essentials Classic. Now, if you want to use your own workspace, by all means, either way will get you from point A to point B. Next thing I want to mention is we're using Smart Guides. In order to activate Smart Guides, all you need to do is go to View on your top bar, scroll down and select Smart Guides or Control U. Now, as you've just seen, we're using the bottom center of our page to highlight hotkey recommendations, key command recommendations, and tips and tricks. Now, with that in mind, we're building this piece on a PC. Now, if you're using an Apple device, use the command key instead. Again, command equals control. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started building our piece. As we get started, we want to find the center of our artboard, as that's crucial to creating a center to rotate around. How do we do that? Piece of cake. All you need to do is go to View, Rulers, and then select Show Rulers or Control R. Once you've got that, you'll notice that the rulers appear on the top and left-hand side of your page. To drag out a ruler guide, piece of cake, all you need to do is click and drag down. Now, if you want to find the center of your artboard, all you need to do is drag down close, and you'll notice that Smart Guides does the rest. You'll notice how it snaps right there to the center of your artboard. Just release once you get to that point, and you've got one of your center points. Now, to get the entire axis, all you need to do is go to your left side, click and drag out, go to approximately 500, and notice again, you'll snap to that point. That's Smart Guides doing the work for you. Now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and get started with our recycle shape. To do so, all you need to do is go to your rectangle tool on your left toolbar. You're going to right click on that and then select your polygon tool. Once you've got that selected, click and release anywhere on your artboard, and let's go ahead and build out our triangle. First things first, let's go ahead and set our radius at 100 pixels. And then let's go ahead and change the number of sides from 6 to 3. Let's go ahead and click OK. And there you go. That's the exact shape that we are looking for. Now, with that in mind, let's go ahead and center align it. Let's align it just horizontally right now. We're going to align it vertically when we need to do so. All you need to do that is grab your align tool. Now, on Essentials Classic, you have your align tool on the top bar. You can see it right here. Now, if you don't have your align tools visible, all you need to do is go to Window, Align, or select Shift F7, and then your align window will appear, as you can see on the top right-hand side of my page. Now, with that in mind, all I need to do is align it to horizontal center, just like that, and then we can close our align window. Our work is done right there. Now let's go ahead and get rid of our white fill. The way we do that is we make sure that fill, that's our default color, is selected and highlighted. All you need to do is click on either part to bring it to the foreground. Now, once it's on the foreground and our shape is selected, all you need to do is click on None. And you'll notice right away that your shape goes transparent in its fill. We're going to keep that black stroke. We're going to operate with that black stroke. Next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and get rid of the bottom of that triangle. All we need to have is the left and the right side. So how do we do that? Piece of cake. All we're going to do is let's go ahead and deselect our shape. Let's go ahead and grab our direct selection tool just like that. Once I've got my direct selection tool selected, all I need to do is drag across the bottom center of my shape just like that. Let's press delete, and let's delete the bottom part right there. Once that's done, let's go ahead and deselect our shape just like that. And now we've got the shape exactly how we want. Next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and grab our selection tool right here. And then what we're going to do is let's go ahead and select our shape once again. Once we've got that, let's go ahead and increase that stroke. Couple ways to do that. Obviously, we can go to the top bar right here and increase that stroke weight incrementally. All we need to do is use our up arrow and we're increasing that thickness just like that. Or just as easily, I can just drag across and enter the amount that we want. In this case, it's 50. Now, if you don't see that stroke panel right there, you can access the stroke window at least two different ways. One is you can click on that stroke word right there, and you'll notice that stroke panel opens up. Another way, if you're using smart guides, you can go to your right menu here, click on that, and your stroke window opens up. That's pretty handy. And then finally, if you don't see any of those options, of course, you can go to Window, Stroke, or select Control F10, and your stroke window will open up. Now that we've got that, let's talk about what we can do with our stroke. And of course, right here, you'll notice right here, you can change the weight, and then you've got so many more options as well. Now, in this case, what we want to do is let's talk about how we can change our stroke preferences. Of course, you can play with the cap. You've got the butt cap right here. That's the basic. You've got a round cap. And of course, you've got the projecting cap right there. Let's go ahead and go back to the butt cap. That works just fine in this case. And then you can also change the corner of your stroke as well. Take a look. Right here, you've got a standard miter join. If I click on round join, notice that the corners go round. And then, of course, you've got the bevel join right there. That gives us a nice miter corner. If we deselect that, you can see it. And that might work out pretty well. Now we've got that, we're going to make some adjustments to the strokes of our triangle, but let's get ahead to some other things first. First thing we want to do is we want to shorten up the right side of our shape. Here's how we're going to do that. We're going to grab our direct selection tool. We'll click and release on that. Let's go ahead and then just grab the end point of our path here, just like that. That's what we want to shorten up. But let's go ahead and get a little bit more detailed about it. First things first, we don't need the entire preview of our shape. So what we want to do is we want to see the outline of our shape instead. Here's how you get it. All you need to do is go to View, Outline, or select Control Y. And then that brings up the outline of your shape. Now with Smart Guides activated, it will give you clues on how big or small to shorten your side up. Check this out. With our direct selection tool still selected, all I need to do is click on that anchor point, drag it up to the point that I see fit. I'm going to drag it up about halfway, just like that, and I'll release. Once I've got that, I've shortened up that one side of my shape to about half the length. If we escape our outlines, we can always hit Control Y to do that, or of course, we can go to View and go back to Preview. Check that out. And now we've got our shape the way we want it. Once we've got that done, we've got to do one more thing. Let's go ahead and create our triangle for the point of our shape. All we need to do that is let's go ahead and grab our hexagon tool. Let's click and release anywhere on our artboard. And let's go ahead and keep the three sides of our polygon. That's a triangle. That's going to be the point of it. And then let's go ahead and change our radius from either 100, which it previously was, or whatever it is now, to 50. Let's go ahead and click OK. And of course, we've got our triangle shape stroked out with no fill. All we need to do is trade our fill and our stroke. Here's how you do that. Just go over to your colors right here, click swap fill and stroke. And if we grab our selection tool and deselect, take a look. We've got that triangle just how we want it. That's going to be our point. So now all we need to do is rotate our triangle just a little bit. And then let's go ahead and adhere that point to our shape. Check out how you're going to do that. First things first, let's go ahead and select that point. Let's double click on our rotate tool. And then let's go ahead and rotate it 90 degrees. Take a look about what happens. We'll tab off of it, and that's a perfect rotation. So we'll click OK. And now we've got our point set perfectly. Now, how we're going to move that to exactly that position that we want right at the end of that stroke? Piece of cake. All we're going to do is let's grab our selection tool. Let's go to outline so we can see exactly where we're going to move it, and then we'll drag it over there. Take a look. First things first, remember how we got to outlines. All we need to do is select View and select Outline. Again, you can use Control Y to do that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our selection tool. All right, now that we've got that, let's go ahead and find the middle of our shape. I'll click right there and I'm going to drag it up to the end of my stroke. Notice how it will snap right there. Let's click off of it right there. And then let's go ahead and escape outlines. This time, instead of going to view, preview, what we're going to do is we'll select Control Y instead. Let's go ahead and take a look. And that's exactly what we want right there. All right, now that we've moved our shape in, we've got a bit of an issue here. First of all, let's go ahead and zoom into our stroke a little bit. All you need to do is select any part of your shape and then zoom in. It's going to zoom straight into it. And then all you need to do is notice if you extend this line segment out right here, it's going to end over here. So how do you match up those ends? Well, it's a piece of cake actually. If we go to outlines, let's again hit Control Y, and we click a new guide down and drag it down to the end of that point right there. Once we go back to preview, let's hit Control Y once again. Notice what we've got. We've got a guideline that's going to perfectly denote the intersection of this outside line right here with this top. We're going to keep that in mind right there as we go forward. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to deselect the entire shape and we're going to take this stroke right here and convert it to a filled shape. How do I do that? Piece of cake. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Object, Expand, and let's go ahead and select OK. Note that fill and stroke are selected. That's the default. And notice what happens when we click OK, our stroke becomes a filled shape. Now that we've got that, we're ready to do some work. First things first, let's get rid of the top of this shape right here. How do I do that? Well, with our selection tool still selected, let's go ahead and click off of our shape. And then we're going to right click on our polygon tool and select our rectangle tool. Once we've got that, we're going to build out a rectangle right here, just like that, based on the guide. And then we can go ahead and do our cutting. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to grab our selection tool, and then we're going to drag across those two shapes that we want to impact right here. You'll notice right there, we've got those. Let's go ahead and use our shape builder tool to build out a shape that includes that intersection right there that we can delete and get our piece hard and fast. Take a look. We're going to grab our shape builder tool, and then let's go ahead and drag across those two shapes that we want to impact or combine. And then let's go ahead and release. Once we've got that, let's go ahead and grab our selection tool. Let's deselect our entire shape. And then let's select this top rectangle right here. Notice that when we hit delete, take a look. The excess of that shape we'd created is gone. Now with that, we can go ahead and extend that shape out a little bit. But before we do that, let's go ahead and combine the triangle with our new shape. Again, we're going to use the shape builder tool. With our selection tool still selected, let's drag across both shapes just like that. Let's grab our shape builder tool, and then let's drag across those shapes just like that. Once we've got those, if we grab our selection tool, let's deselect. This time around, let's go back to view, and then let's go ahead and select outline or Control Y. And you'll notice that those two shapes that we've created are now one singular edited shape. Let's go ahead and escape outlines. Again, we'll hit Control Y, and then let's get back to it. This time around, I want to break that single shape up into two shapes because I want to create, as you can see on the right, that recycling arrow to have a unique part to it. Take a look at how we're going to do that. I'm going to grab my pen tool, and then this time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that anchor point right there. I'm going to click and release, and I'm going to go to the top anchor point right there, and I'm going to click and release. Once I've got that, what I want to do is I want to grab my selection tool, deselect my shape, and then once again, I'm going to drag across all of my shapes just like that. You can see those shapes. Once I've got that right there, I'm going to grab my shape builder tool, and then I'm going to click on each of the individual shapes. What I've done right here by clicking on them is I've created individual shapes for both of those. Take a look when I go to outlines. Once again, I'm going to go to view, outline, and then you can see I've got two unique shapes right there. Let's go ahead and escape outlines, go back to preview, and then let's go ahead and add a stroke around these two unique shapes. Now that we've got those shapes completely unique, what we're going to do is let's grab our selection tool, and now let's go ahead and add a stroke to our shape. Now with my shape selected right here, I can just go ahead and add a stroke by double clicking on my stroke. And let's click and drag all the way to white, just like that, and let's click OK. Once we've got that, you'll notice we've added a stroke around our shape. Let's go ahead and deselect and you can see what I've done. Let's go ahead and increase that stroke. Let's select our shape once again, and let's increase that stroke from 1 point to 4 points, just like that. Now that we've got that, notice how our stroke is center aligned right there, and that doesn't work out quite so well. Instead, I want it aligned to the outside. So let's take a look at our stroke window once again. Let's go to Window, Stroke, and then let's go ahead and take a look at Align Stroke right here. You'll notice we've got it center aligned right here. Let's go ahead and align it to the inside. That's not what I want. Let's align it to the outside and take a look at what it looks like. Ultimately, if we deselect, that's what we want. However, notice how the left part of our stroke is overlapping the right part of our stroke. How do we change that? Well, we're going to have to arrange our shapes so that our arrow part of our shape is in front. Take a look at how we do that. We're going to select our shapes right here. We're going to right click on them. Notice that they're grouped. And so what we're going to have to do is ungroup them. We'll go down here and ungroup our shapes. And now these are two unique shapes. I can click on that one and notice that they operate individually now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the right shape. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to scroll down to Arrange, and then select Bring to Front. Once I've got that, I can deselect my shapes, and that's exactly how I want my shapes to operate right there. Now that I've got that just working perfectly, I don't need them to be individual again. Instead, what I want them to do is grouped together. Here's how I fix that. I'm going to click and drag across my shapes right there. I'm going to right click on them, and let's go ahead and scroll down to Group, and let's click OK. Now these shapes are grouped together. And if I deselect and reselect, notice that they're operating as a single entity. Let's go ahead and deselect our shape. And now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and close our stroke window. We don't need that anymore. And now let's go ahead and do the rotation element. Go ahead and bring the entire page into view. And let's go ahead and get started with our rotation. First things first, let's go ahead and select our shape right here. Next thing we're going to do is we'll select our rotate tool. Once we've got that, you'll notice with our rotate tool still selected that you've got that rotate center. What we want to do is we want to take that rotate center and move it down to the center of our page. That's going to give us our rotate point. Take a look how I do that. I'm going to press and hold my Alt key, and then I'm going to grab that rotate center and I'm going to click and drag it down to the center point, just like that. I'll release that, and notice right away that our shape rotates around that center point. Note the last time we did a rotation, we rotated by 90 degrees, so that's going to be what's still showing. However, what we want to do is we want to rotate 3 times around 360 degrees. 360 degrees is the number of degrees around any shape, so if we've got a 3-sided shape, we want to rotate it 1/3 of 360. If we do some math, that's going to be 120 degrees. Let's go ahead and click on Copy. That's a good start right there. How do we duplicate that move? Piece of cake. All we need to do anytime you need to duplicate a move on rotation is hit Control D and take a look at what happens. Grab our selection tool, let's deselect our shape, and there you go. That's how we've got it. One issue though, our shapes are just too far apart. So what we need to do is we need to undo our moves, and then let's go ahead and move our original shape closer to center. How do we do that? Again, not too tough. Let's go ahead and undo. We're going to select Edit and Undo Transform or Control Z. I'll select Undo Transform once. And then what I'm going to do, instead of hitting that again, I'm going to hit Control Z and take a look at what happens. It takes us right back to the original shape. Now that we've got that, with our selection tool now selected, let's go ahead and select this shape, and we're going to click and drag it straight down. Let's hold our Shift key to lock it into that vertical axis. And then let's take it so that that leftmost point arrives at our guide, just like that. Once we've got that, let's release that right there. That looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and initiate our rotation once again. Once again, let's go ahead and grab our rotate tool. We've got our rotate center. Let's press our Alt key. Let's click and drag that down to the center of our shape, just like that. Let's click Release. And now that we've got that, once again, what we want to do is we want to rotate 360 degrees 3 times. We could always enter 120 degrees, but what if we don't feel like doing math? Well, here's how you do that. All you need to do is write 360 divided by 3, just like that. And let's go ahead and select Copy. Take a look at what happens. Notice that Adobe Illustrator does the math for you. Keep that little nugget in mind going forward, as shapes can get much more complex than 3 sides. Now, with that in mind, if you want to duplicate that specific maneuver, all you need to do is hit Control D, that duplicates, and take a look. Let's grab our selection tool. Let's deselect our shapes, and that's almost perfect right there. We've got our rotate shape almost exactly how we want it. Take a look at the top right-hand side though. Our arrow is hidden. How do we fix that? The first way to fix our arrow is just by arranging the individual shapes. Take a look. What we can do is let's go ahead and select that top shape that's grouped. Let's go ahead and right click on it to ungroup. And then from there, all we need to do is deselect all of our shapes. And then let's select this right shape right here. From there, right click on it, select arrange, bring to front. Let's go ahead and deselect our shape. And there you go. All you need to do now is group your shape by dragging across your shapes just like that, right clicking on it, and then selecting group. Now, way number 2 involves using the Intertwine tool. Take a look at how we do it now. What we're going to do is let's select all of our shapes right here. Once all of our shapes have been selected, we're going to go to Object, Intertwine, and let's select Make. Once we've got that, notice that the highlighting of our piece goes away. However, our intertwine function is fully in effect. Notice what happens when we hover over the arrow that we want to bring to front. It activates. All you need to do to bring it to the front is click and release. And let's grab our selection tool and deselect. Now, one advantage here is our shape is already pre-grouped, just like that. Let's go ahead and deselect our shape. Now, once our shapes are deselected, with either method, let's go ahead and change the color of our grouped shape. All we need to do is grab our selection tool, select our shapes, let's double click on our fill, and let's go ahead and change that color from black. Let's take it to a nice green. That's a little bit more environmental. That looks good right there. Click on our color. Let's click OK. Let's go ahead and deselect. That looks real good. Let's hide our guides just to make it look a little bit more fresh. Let's go to View, Guides, and select Hide Guides. That looks really good. And with that, we are done. Nice job. Now that you've got this done, use your newly acquired skills to build your own logo or art. As you can see, lots of options. And now with that being said, of course, comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Peace.